Hey guys, Josh's Boosters here and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today, not just any Yu-Gi-Oh video, but actually the last part in my series where I attempted to make Nekroz Good in 2021. Whether I succeeded, I guess that is up to you guys, but at least I tried. And if you've been watching this video series since the start of the channel basically, you know that when there's an end, there is also a new beginning. And in this case that will of course be a new installment of the series where I take a look at another deck. Now if you have any suggestions, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And I'll take a look at them and then I'll make one of those cool polls where you guys can vote which of the options you like the most. And then I will be taking a look at that specific deck because I know you guys love, clicking buttons and selecting things. Anyway, before I get into the final deck list and the final replays, I actually have two replays today for you guys. Just, if you did enjoy the series, be sure to like this video, leave a comment down below with what deck you would like to see me take a look at next. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel but have been enjoying my videos, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to subscribe. But yeah, with all that being said, let's dive into the deck list. So yeah guys, this is the finalized version of my deck list. As you may note, there is a card in my deck list labeled OCG, but it won't be for much longer because this is actually a card that will be released in Ghost of the Past, which should be released in a couple of days at the time of recording this video, which is also the reason why I really wanted to include this card in the deck, but because it just felt weird if I made a final deck list without this specific card in it, even though it will be playable in a couple of days. So, actually making the video a little bit obsolete, and hopefully now it isn't. This also makes it kind of the perfect moment to release this video, I think. Before I get into the deck list, I just want to give a massive shout out to my friends Yuri and Giovanni. Because of course I couldn't go into Raided with this deck, but they were nice enough to actually use some of their time to help me test this deck against two different decks. So yeah, thank you so much guys, you really made this video possible. But yeah, before we get into the replays, let's look at the deck list. So some things are unchanged. I'm still on the 1 Maximus. Then the incantation ratio is sort of the same. There is one change, but we'll get to that later. Still just on the 1 Manju, double Shurit. Still on Vantage Ruler, Benten, Chiller's Line. But then on the actual Nekroz ratio, we have this guy, Nekroz of Areadbhair, or something like that. So basically what this card does is you can discard and then tribute up to 2 Nekroz monsters from your hand or field. And if you do send the same amount of monsters, I think, the number of Nekroz cards from your deck to the graveyard. So this combos well with Shurit, but also actually with the some of the other Nekroz effect monsters specifically. But I honestly did not feel like you don't even actually go plus, right? Because you have to tribute cards, then of course you trigger the cards, but it doesn't make you go plus anything because you send cards to the graveyard. But the reason I did want to include one of this in my deck is because of the on-field effect, which is basically it's Inferno Deviati. It's when a monster effect is activated. Quick effects, you contribute 1 monster from your hand or field, negate activation if you do banish that card. So definitely a very powerful effect. It also does have a high amount of attack and defense, which also, is alright. And I just want to include it in the deck list because it might definitely come up against some matchups. Anyway, I put this in and actually took out the Gungnir, but moved the Gungnir to the side deck, which I will be talking about later. Then the rest of the ratio is still the same. Obviously, I'm playing triple Breonek. I also still think 2 Klausvas is correct. 1 of Trishula, triple Unicorn. People told me that maybe I should play less of this, but it does help in the grind game because the hand effect is actually really good, adding back cards. And then 1 Valkyrus. I even think that you could cut this card, to be honest, but I don't know, just having that as an option in the deck is nice, and sometimes the draw effect might come up. To be honest, I've never used it in all the games I've played with this deck, but who knows, still Call by the Grave. The card I did add is Incantation Inception, because like everybody told me I should play it. This card can be use to ritual summon any ritual monster. And then you must also tribute incantation monster from your hand or field whose total level equals or exceeds the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. However, the reason why this card's actually in the deck for the second effect, which is if this card is in your graveyard, you can send one incantation card from your hand or face up field to the graveyard except incantation inception, special summon one incantation monster from your deck, then add this card from your graveyard to your hand. So pretty good effect there, especially in the grind game, just makes you go mad plus. Which is why I decided to try it out at 1. Because, you know, you can also add it with the incantations, of course. Then I'm still on the triple Nadir Servant. I actually changed up the, what do you call it, the Nekroz Ritual lineup a little bit. I'm now on 2 Cycles still, 2 Kaleidoscope, and then just the 1 Nekroz Mirror. You can potentially add them back with the Unicorn and with the Preparation of Rise, which is at 3, and I just felt like the other 2 might come up more often than Nekroz Mirror would, and I just want to slim down the deck list, because it just was... It wasn't 40, and it still isn't 40, which bothers me a little bit, but I even got like one of the Pensive Plume there, so... I just really felt like I couldn't got any more cards from the list. And still on Extravagance, I know a lot of people seem to think that Prosperity is better than Extravagance, but I really feel in this card having more, or in this deck having more cards is really just a lot better than thinking for one specific card, because there's like a lot of cards just do exactly the same thing. So having more of them is actually better than just, you know, adding one of them. And then triple prep and the 1 reinforcement of the army, nothing to say about that. The side changed a little bit. I'm still on triple Denko, which I think is really good. Triple Cyclone. Duster, and then the other card I actually signed in for back row decks now is Gungnir. Because this card is really good against just really heavy trap decks. So you can summon this and then, you know, end phase pop one of your traps, which I think is really strong. But against more combos matchups, I really feel like this card is pretty lackluster if you're just, you know, going for something like Vantage Root or Nekroz of Unicorn. Those are just better cards to keep on the field. Then Sphere Mode and triple Dark Ruler No More against the combo decks. And then one Judgment seems super weird, but I just want to have like one card I want, or at least a card I would side in going first. And I really couldn't think of anything, so I just decided to add in the Judgment, but by all means, if you can think of something better, I would recommend putting in something other than the Judgment, probably. The extra deck, I just have a level 9, a level 10, a level 11, and a level 12 here. Nothing much to say about that. Then triple Untus, triple Herald, you know, I am playing Extravagance. These will usually not come up, but these will. So I really want to play 3 of all of them. Then I did add in Toad for the Maximus specifically. Just because if there's nothing to destroy your opponent's fields, there's really no good second name to send off his effect. And then Toad will actually allow you to add back a water monster. So any of the Nekroz cards, which I definitely thought was good. Someone recommended this to me in the comment section, so shout out to that person. And then just 1 Dweller, the Black Luster Soldier, Link, and then the 2 Nightmares. So yeah, I'm quite content with the main deck and pretty content with the side deck as well, aside from the 1 Judgment. Just this part of the extra deck, I just wasn't really sure what I wanted to play, or what would be better to put in than these cards. There's probably some better options, like the other part of the deck I'm pretty happy with. Usually the only cards that come up are, to be honest, level 4s and the Toads, but I feel like this is pretty, you can definitely change these around if you think there's something better. But yeah, I have 2 replays to go through, so don't want to waste too much time talking about the deck list. 2 replays because I think this will give a pretty realistic perspective of where the deck's in the format. So yeah, let's just hop right into them. The first being against Yuri Landsman here. Let's see, I can't actually remember who won the Rock, Paper, Scissors. So I did, I will be electing to go first. I did not know what Yuri was playing, actually. We were both playing 41 card decks. And as you can see, he's actually on Dogmatica. What's it called? Eldlich. My hand here is really good, as you can see. Going for the Talisman right here, so I won't be able to search for a ritual monster with the... what are they called? Incantations, but the candle is gonna allow me to add a ritual spell to my hand, which will of course be Kaleidoscope, because it will allow me to set up Unicorn. Then Herald will net me another search, which will be Benton here, so I'm going to go for the what's it called, Vantage Ruler setup. And you're gonna see that this is exactly one of the reasons why this deck might struggle a little bit in the current format, because Eldlich is a popular deck. Dogmatica cards are very popular. and you'll see that those cards actually specifically really out Divinity's Ruler. The only I decided to keep this in hand just to have a follow-up for the next turn. I can't send Herald with this to add Maximus, so I thought it would be better to just pop one of his cards and then, you know, go into the Maximus place. Because it will allow me to relatively go more plus. He activates the Outland, and at this point I'm pretty sad, right? Because I know he's going to be able to out my Vanity's Ruler. Vanity's Ruler is very strong against Eldlich, actually, except if they have Golden Lord or Outland, because then they can just out it, and now he can just run over my cards. And I'm in a really tough position, to be honest. It honestly already feels like I have lost this game at this moment, because he's going to set a lot of cards. Also ending the punishment here, and then he's just like setting 4, setting 3, still, you know, quite strong. Setting another Eldlich or Sanguine, so we'll have access to even more traps next turn. I'm gonna start with the Servant, sending the Untus like I talked about to get rid of one of his traps. I'm gonna hit the Hakura, which he's gonna chain, and he's gonna bench the Benten, which is actually fine. There is literally nothing I can do for the rest of the game with the Benten. I guess I could edit back to... No, there is literally nothing I can do with it, so that's fine. I'm gonna run over... oh, right, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna crash into the Golden Lord, and then I'm gonna add... actually use the Nekroz ritual spells in my graveyard, because at this point Brianok is just literally doing nothing. And I kind of just want to see if he does something with his trap cards. This also gives me fodder for the Cheddar Slime. I'm gonna bring out the... what's this one called again? Talisman there, right? To add a ritual monster to my hand, which is gonna allow... I'm gonna add Trish. And one of the reasons why Eldlich is such a difficult matchup is that oftentimes they will be able to set their entire hand, but in this specific case, my opponent opted not to, so there's actually a chance that Trishula might resolve and put me in a good position. Talismandra is a level 6, so I'm just gonna tribute it and banish the Cloudstars from my graveyard to bring out Trish. But of course he is gonna disrupt it with Lost Wind here, which is interesting for sure. I figured I would go for Trishula first and then go for Maximus, just because Maximus at this point is more of a power play. But I already knew, of course, he had the punishment, and I'm just gonna scoop when he hits the Maximus. So yeah, pretty rough. Arguably, if I could set up something like the new Nekroz, the level 10, and Vanity's Ruler, it would have been better than Unicorn, Vanity's Ruler. But I did not know what my opponent was playing, and I felt like this was probably a little bit on the safer side. Maybe next time I will definitely be trying to set up, you know, the Areadbhair and Vanity's Ruler, if at all possible. But I think the card combination you need for that is, of course, a little bit more difficult to achieve than the usual card combination. Again, we see my opponent actually opens double Lilith, which means he won't be able to set all the cards in his hand. And he actually doesn't have any disrupts for my... what's it called? Trishula. So my hand here is looking definitely pretty good if I can resolve the Maximus for sure, but at this point there's not really a way to do that. I do have Extravagance though, so I will be seeing 2 more cards, but I definitely need those 2 more cards to play. Like, well, I guess, I mean, I could summon this with the hand I have right now, but there's really not that much to be gained from that, I think. Picking up 2 pretty good cards. I'm gonna start with Pensaplume here to bring out Candle, I think. Yeah, which is gonna allow me to add, I assume, Kaleidoscope. Yeah, because then with Bryo I'm gonna be able to dig for Unicorn, which is fine. Then I'm gonna go with the Unicorn. Then with Herald I'm gonna add, let's see, Cycle, which means I will be able to maybe drop this guy. I'm really just not gonna attempt to pronounce his name because it's quite hard. And then I'll be able to get the Strategist or the Steward Search as well. Then I'm gonna go summon Maximus. He's gonna go Sanguine, which is fine. Then sadly he's gonna have the Conquistador. I mean, I kinda had to try, I feel. So now I'm gonna go for this line. Makes me wonder why I didn't go for the Talismandra. Oh, right, because there's actually nothing good I can get off the Talismandra. Sure, is gonna add a Trishula to basically just to protect my this guy, because when he goes out, or what's it called, Golden Lord effect, I'm just gonna try to banish it from graveyard. because, you know, this guy's quite big, and then it also negates the punishment here, which is really nice. What it does mean I won't have it in hand for the next turn. I might be able to get it with my, what's it called? Cycle next turn though, but as you see, he actually top decks Droplet here, which is really strong, really good top deck. He's gonna add Conquistador, set Hawk, it's all fine. I'm gonna attempt to negate the Golden Lord here, but yeah, as we saw, he actually did draw the Droplet. So not much we can do about that. He's gonna negate it, and then basically at this point, I feel I've lost the game again. Because Unicorn literally doesn't do anything against Eldlich. He's gonna be able to end with Haquiro, Conquistador, and then I think Lost Wind he's gonna set from the Lilith. I do still have the Extravagance, so we'll be seeing 3 more cards, but it's looking pretty rough. I also won't be able to True Fly him because he has no cards in hand, and with no cards in hand, there's basically no real power play I have left. Then he's going to play around Denko here, which is good. But Denko is also just one of the cards that will probably still win me the game if I draw it here, but drawing Chalice Slime without any good targets in deck, and Call by the Grave, which at this point in the game doesn't do anything anymore. Like, last turn would have been really good to bench the Lord and, you know, keep my protect my fields, but right now it serves basically no purpose. I'm gonna go with the Talismandra, bring out Candle. Oh no, bring out Bookstone. I think I sided out the second Candle, then, you know, go for Cycle, but... And then with Unicorn, I'm gonna try to add back the Shurit. I'm gonna target the Shurit of Unicorn, and then try to go for the Barret, whatever it's called. But he's gonna Haquiro that, and then I'm just gonna have to admit defeat, right? There's just no way I'm coming back from this. But this is just a realistic situation, right? Eldlich is a popular deck. People might be playing the Trap variant, and if you're not drawing cards like your Dustor or your Denko, the matchup is just very hard. Like, if you draw Denko, I definitely think if they don't have an auto it should be auto win, especially if you can drop the level 10 alongside it. It will just be really hard for them to out. But if you don't, it just happens like this, right? It's so hard to break the field, and your cards, aside from Trishla, don't really interact with them. And even around Trishla, it's relatively easy for them to play around. So, yeah. However, I do have a second replay against a more combo-ish deck, which really will show off more of the strengths of the Nekroz deck. So let's dive into that. So yeah, my second game here. He won the Rock, Paper, Scissors and will be elected to go first. And as you can see, he is playing Shaddoll or Shaddoll Invoked. Maybe with Dogmatica, I'm not actually sure anymore because I recorded this. I played these games yesterday and I'm kind of tired, so I'm not exactly sure how they went anymore. But yeah, he's gonna start off with Meltdown here, actually. Not really respecting draw, but that's fine. Going for Alistair. And then at this point, I'm not sure what he's playing right, because it might still be pure invoked. He's gonna go for Almirage into the Shakura Guard now, so not going into the, what's it called? The Magister. The Magister Link 1. That's a light right away, basically, for Alistair. Then gonna go for Invocation, pitch both his Shadolls, gonna add Wendy with Hawk, and then draw a card with Beast. With Beast, he's gonna draw El Shadoll, so I kind of thought he had it in hand, to be honest, but apparently he was just going to end on Winda Pass, I think. Which is, of course, against Nekroz not the best. With the incantations, it is slightly better, but if the Nekroz hand is good, you are definitely easily able to break this. But now he does have access to Construct, and he's gonna be able to keep on playing and generate more advantage, which is very strong. Oh, right, and then he's gonna get access to Schism, which is definitely good. And also El Shadoll with Wendy and Ariel in hand, so definitely a pretty good opener here. I'm gonna top deck Maximus again. I'm not sure if anybody noticed, but I seem to be drawing this card all the time, and Servant almost never. I also drew Extravagance again, though, which is nice. So I'm gonna be able to draw 2 cards. Bookstone, which is arguably the best incantation to draw, because it has the worst unsummon effect. And this will allow me to dig for anything I want. Gonna go for Pensaplume, Review, Bryonek. He's actually gonna change the Schism here, which is smart because he's gonna summon Winda. Then if I decide to go activate Pensaplume effect on the field, I actually won't be able to special summon the rest of the turn, which is definitely very strong, but I'm gonna chain the Call by the Grave to banish the Winda. So he's gonna be forced into Construct, which is also annoying because the Meltdown now shuts me down from actually activating Pencil Bloom effect. Because, you know, Meltdown says, fusion, also your opponent's cards and effects cannot activate when a monster is fusion summoned this way, and, you know, Construct is being fusion summoned now, so I can't activate anything. So, yeah, I pointed out, but I still have the Bookstone, thankfully, so... Going for Bookstone, review Cycle, I have to review a spell, reviewed Brionek on accident, then go for Candle, and Candle is gonna add, I think, Kaleidoscope. Then I'm gonna go Brio for Unicorn. I'm gonna go Kaleidoscope, bring out Unicorn, and then with Herald I'm gonna add Trishula, because of course I want to Trish my opponent on this turn. Then after this, I'm gonna go Cycle and tribute a level 5 and a level 4, as you can see, which are or equal level 9, so bringing out Trishula that way. He's gonna allow that, and then on Trishula's effect he's gonna chain Eldlich and Shaddoll, and then this is super funny, he's gonna chain the Alistair on the Construct and then pitch both his Shaddoll cards. And unlike the actual Synchro Trishula, Nekroz of Trishula requires your opponent to, or requires you to banish a card from every location, so hand, field, and graveyard, and because my opponent now has no cards in hand, I won't be able to resolve Trishula, and then he's also gonna be able to, oh, this is a super cool play he does, by the way, because he's gonna go, like, chaining 1 Ariel, chaining 2 Wendy, chaining 3 Epco, and then chaining 4, or Reshadol to flip it face down, which means it effectively will resolve, actually, even though Unicorn is on the field, so pretty cool play on his part. And then also he negates Unicorn, so it is negated for the rest of the game, actually. And then Ariel's, of course, is gonna banish the ritual spells and Browneck from my grave, which is kind of annoying because it does decrease my potential for a follow-up. However, as you can see, the 2 cards in my hand are still insanely strong. I'm gonna bring out Maximus. Then with Maximus, I'm gonna send a Herald and an Untus. He's gonna just send some Invoke Links, because I guess he could have sent Epclone, but there's nothing actually good to send with the Epclone to the graveyard, I suppose. I'm gonna pop the Epclone because it can't be destroyed by battle, and I don't want to trigger the Squamata. And also don't keep the, yeah, like Epclone's gonna trigger as well. Like, this is a pretty rough situation, but with Herald I'm gonna add Valk here, but this is a mistake, as you can see, because I will be, yeah, I'm gonna add Clausulas. Just a little misplay on my part, but of course these are just fun games, so he let me take back the play. And he's gonna send Falco with Epclone and then set it with his own effects. I'm gonna go Clausulas. Or no, so I'm gonna review the Clausulas to him because he asked me what I searched. And then Manju's gonna add Mirror. And now I just really want to out his field, so I have to bring out the Clausulas here by triggering the Pencil Plume, which is kind of weird. Then I'm gonna reduce the Construct to 0 and negate its effect with Clausulas. And then this way I also have a, what's it called? A Disruption on his turn. He's gonna add back the Eldlich and Shaddoll. So at this point I just have to hope he doesn't draw, he's actually gonna pop the Trish here instead of the Clausulas, which is alright, I guess. And I can't out this right now, the Gravity Controller, because I have to, I just have monsters in the main monster zone. And Unicorn is negated. Thankfully, he does top deck Nibiru here, which doesn't do much against, I mean, it can definitely actually be a good card, but after my huge turn, I probably won't be summoning a lot anymore. He's gonna go for another Winda, I think. Yeah, he's gonna bring out Winda. Then he's gonna go Info. Oh, so that's mostly the reason why he's gonna go for Winda, to actually banish the Alistair, so he can add that to his hand. He's gonna go Alistair, add Invocation. And then I think he's eventually just gonna opt to go for Mechaba Winda as the end of his turn here, which I think is definitely a fair play. I'm gonna go Clausulas to negate the Winda. And he's actually gonna allow it. Oh, no, that's right. I'm gonna negate the Mechaba actually because I want to keep the Maximus on the field. So that's the thing. He's gonna swing into my Clausulas, and then I'm gonna reduce Mechaba so I get to keep Maximus on the field to get possibly get value from that next turn. if he does allow the effect to go through. And he does negate Klaus, which I think is the correct play. Probably, since he has the negate for Maximus anyway. Then I'm gonna go, there's nothing I can do, right? I have to resolve Maximus here, and he's actually gonna let it go through. So opting to not negate it with Mechabai here. The reason for that I'm not actually completely sure about. Also, as you can see, I'm actually really dwindling down this extra deck here, which is super interesting. Then I'm gonna pop the Mechaba with Untus Chaining 2, Herald Chaining 1. He's valuing the Nibiru here over the Mechaba on field, which I think is fair. And then because I did top deck the Kaleidoscope, I'm gonna... Oh, I did top deck the Kaleidoscope, but there's no more Heralds in my deck. But I do get to bring out Unicorn here. Which is a potential... Well, it's not a negate per se, but it is a disruption for sure for the Shaddoll deck. Then I'm gonna go Battle Phase. He doesn't activate the Schism, so it appears he doesn't have any more targets in his extra deck. And which is interesting, right? He's gonna top deck another Nibiru, go for Invocation, and then I think the last cards in his extra deck actually turned out to be Dragoon and Mechaba, so he's not maxing out on the Shaddoll fusions. And the reason for that, he's actually playing Pot of Acquisitiveness, the one that's like shuffle 3 monsters back, draw a card. Which I definitely think is an interesting tech. He was testing it actually, he told me. So, okay, so his last card is this one, Augoides, and then Dragoon. But yeah, it doesn't really do much here except for set up a little wall. I don't have any good cards left to send off Maximus, so I'm gonna go Upstart Goblin here with the Extravagance, but I top deck Shirt, which doesn't do anything. He's gonna top deck Ash, which again is nothing. I'm gonna top deck Challenge Slime, which he can actually discard for his own effect, but he's gonna Ash that, so pretty rough. He's gonna top deck Super Poly, which again doesn't do anything in this specific situation, and then eventually I top deck Rhoda, which is one of the best top decks I could have gotten, because that will eventually allow me to actually add Klaus, which allows me to go for Cycle, which will make Trishula live, which is gonna win me the game here. So yeah, definitely lucky top decks on my part, and not lucky top decks on his part. Like the Wendy definitely... Oh, actually, I'm not sure what is out here would have been. Probably just Red Eyes Fusion. Thinking about it, because there was nothing in his extra... Or I guess the pot as well, right? Because he needed to get something back into the extra deck. But yeah, I do take this pretty insane game 1, I have to say. You'll see that the last 2 games are actually a lot shorter. As you see, my hand here is not the best, while his hand is... His hand's actually also not good, but it's definitely better than my hand. Or I wouldn't even say it's better, but he's gonna be able to negate the Night Served, which is the only card that makes my hand playable. Because he's just gonna go end on Mechaba Pass, no Shaddoll cards to fuse with. But you'll see, my hand actually loses to Mechaba Pass. I'm gonna top back Extravagance, which is insane, so I'm like, okay, let's go. Standby phase, Cyclone the set. Go for Extravagance, which I think he's gonna Ash Blossom. Which, of course, fair enough. I'm gonna go Nadir Servant, which he's gonna negate. And then I actually have nothing left to play with. Then he's actually gonna go for another Alistair, of course. Get Invocation. Then he's gonna link into the Predaplant, if I remember this correctly. And then at this point I have to face down Mechaba and Dragoon, and there's literally no combination of cards or a top deck that will actually allow me to beat that. Oh, there's no Mechaba actually. That's interesting. So just gonna go for Dragoon here. And I eventually decide to scoop. I think this was correct anyway, because there was no... Probably there was no card in my deck that's out at this situation. I think. Yeah, I don't think there was any out in my deck, to be honest, against Dragoon Gate. Anyway, last game, I am going first. My hand is really good. Really, really good. I'm gonna go with the book. He's opting not to Ash that. Then I'm gonna go for Salamandra. He is ashing the Salamandra. I think it is decent he didn't actually ash the book, because as you see I also have Pentaplume in my hand anyway, so it makes sense that he's actually negating the search that I actually want. But my hand is just way too strong, as you can see. Because this is eventually gonna allow me to set up Vanity's ruler, and his hand is just Shaddoll, or it's just engine, right? And I mean, I guess the Shaddoll engine can technically out the ruler, but it is really slow. Just gonna do the basic play here, and then eventually just drop the ruler by tributing the incantations, and hope he won't be able to out this. He's gonna top deck Meltdown, which is whatever, does not out the Vanity's ruler for now. Then he's just gonna set the Squamata, which does out the Vanity ruler, but I'm gonna be super lucky again, top decking Preparation of Right, which does make my Pensaplume live, and which in the long run will also allow me to set up for Trishula, which is just, you know, Preparation of Right is so insane in this deck. I'm gonna go Pensaplume, go for another Talisman to add. Yeah, because I know if I just go Trishula, banish his monster, he probably won't be able to out my event. It will be game, but if there is some card he has that will make it not game, then at least you have, if he has out to begin with, he will have to set it again next turn, and at that point it will definitely be game. So, going to go for Trish here, and he actually does not have an out. I do opt to bench the monster, of course, because there's basically no trap cards I have seen in this list. I mean, maybe Punishment if he plays the Dogmatica pack just after all to out the Vanity ruler, but you know, if he has it, he has it, and he does not have it. Just gonna scoop it up actually here. So yeah, that's it, guys. Super long video, but I really want to show both of the replays to give a realistic view on this deck. Once again, if you do have cool ideas for the next series, then let me know down in the comments. If you did enjoy the Nekroz series, also, you know, let me know. Getting positive feedback makes me a happy YouTuber, and you know, makes it worthwhile knowing that people do enjoy the content, because I do put a lot of time in videos like this. I did really enjoy playing the Nekroz deck. I have to admit, I'm not sure if I succeeded with, you know, actually making it good, but let me know what you think. And again, let me know in the comments which decks you would like to see in the next installment of this series. And then I'll see you in the very next video. Bye!